Welcome to our program on Kardec Radio.
Wow, it's nice to be here once again, especially tonight, this wonderful event that we will together will enjoy. And now I'd like to say welcome to everyone that are leaving a message here, and everyone will be welcome to this meeting, this event. And today we have a special guest, Geraldinho, and soon he will introduce himself. But now I pass over to Nadia, Silvia, and Geraldinho.
Labas, labas vakaras, laba diena, labas rytas. Šiandien mes kalbėsime apie Francisco Xavier. Jis Brazilas, buvo Brazilas, mediumas, jis yra visų šimtmečių mediumas. Jis parašė daugiau negu 460 knygų ir milijonus laiškų iš mirusių žmonių. Už jo žinių, visą tai už jo žinių, o kartais ir už jo intelektinių gebėjimų ribų. Komunikacija tarp Francisco Xaviero ir dvasių būdavo įvairių būdų per sapnus, sapnuose, raštu, per klausą, per regėjimą. Jis galėjo matyti dvasias, kaip mes matėme jūs ir jūs mes, mus, kaip mes visą dieną, kiekvieną dieną matėme mūsų šeimą, draugus. Jis galėjo ir matyti, kaip žmogus gyveno skirtingais laikais, žmogaus kitoj inkarnacijoj. O Geraldo Lemos Neto bendravo su juo daug metų ir papasakos mums, kaip buvo ir kas yra Chico Xavier. Labai ačiū, tikiuosi, kad jums bus labai įdomu ir naudinga. Oh, and thank you very much for all of you. Thank you for coming, for watching us. So tonight we're going to have a special guest, Geraldo Lemos Neto. He used to be with Chico Xavier for a long time. So he will explain to us a little bit who was Chico Xavier and who is Chico Xavier. Thank you very much.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Once again, we are here, and today is a very, very special day that we're receiving Geraldo, and he's going to talk about that wonderful creature that lived in this earth, that was a blessing for us all, and it was Chico Xavier. And today, listening to Geraldo talk about him and the things he done, because he knew him very closely, may that all the lessons we have from him will guide our lives so that we may work and also learn from him, from everything that he did for us, and most importantly, for all the books, for all the knowledge and wisdom that came to this world through his hands. We are grateful to him and to the spiritual benefactors, and we ask your blessings for today, for this brilliant meeting. Alô a todos, boa noite, prazer em estarmos juntos novamente e, mais uma vez, especialmente nesse dia muito especial que nós recebemos o Geraldo, que vai falar sobre o nosso maravilhoso anjo de luz, que foi o Chico Xavier, e vai ser uma reunião muito boa e que tudo que nós aprendermos hoje, que fique para nós, para guiar nossa vida e o nosso trabalho no futuro. Boa noite, que Jesus nos abençoe a todos.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Geraldo Lemos Neto, and I'm very pleased to be with you tonight. Thank you for the invitation, Elsa, Silvia, and Nadia. It's a pleasure to be here, and I hope I can collaborate with you to get to know a little bit of Chico Xavier. I'm from the city of Belo Horizonte in Minas Gerais state, and my mother's family was a very close family and friend to Chico Xavier's family in the city of Pedro Leopoldo. I got to know him 41 years ago in October 1981. And after that, we had a very close relationship and friendship. I started to publish his books in the Minas Gerais State Federation, that is called União Espírita Mineira, in 1984. And at that time, I published 10 of his books. After that, we founded another publishing house, that is Vinha de Luz Editora, that is continuing publishing the books of Chico Xavier's message, the ones that he left here on earth from the time that he lived in Pedro Leopoldo and Uberaba. And it's been a very good time for me to be such a close person to Chico, getting to know his lessons of humanity and also his lessons of mediumship. We also collaborate to the spread of his words in Pedro Leopoldo, and we are the director of the Casa de Chico Xavier there, which is a center of reference to his life and works. Also in Belo Horizonte, we are a director of the TV Saber Espiritismo and also the Grupo Espírita Saber Amar. Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Geraldinho. I think your image is freezing, so I don't know if you notice that your image is
no.
frozen. Yes, it's still frozen.
Okay.
I don't know what's happened. But now we will show our video that I hope you will like it. And tell me if it's okay. It's okay, Nadia?
So you have to open it, and play, and then mic off.
This special need child has always impressed me with their sufferings. Special need child has always impressed me with their sufferings. Not only in themselves, but also for their parents. And this has been the subject of several conversations with the Spirit Emmanuel, who is the spiritual guide of our works. So he says that, as a general rule, the special need child is the reincarnation of a suicide. In other words, reincarnated after a recent suicide. Because when the person thinks that they destroy themselves, they are only spoiling or losing the clothing which the divine providence allows them to use during the existence, which is the physical body. The truth is that the person itself is a spiritual body. Then the suicide residuals will follow the person who has practiced self-destruction to the afterlife. There, they will remain for some time, supported by friends, because every person has loved ones everywhere. But when they return to Earth, they bring reminiscences that themselves have taken from here after the suicide. If a person has smashed the skull, and if a bullet has hit the center of speech, they will reincarnate speech impaired. If it has only reached the center of vision, they reincarnate blind. But if it has hit a more complex region of the brain, they will come in a complete insanity. And the physiological centers do not work. Endocrinology would have to do a special chapter to study a deaf, mute, blind, handicapped child because of the nature of how the person has wounded their life in the sanctuary of life, which is the most delicate part of the brain. If the person committed suicide by diving into deep water, they will reincarnate with a predisposition for emphysema in their childhood or teenage years or on their early days of life. If a person, for example, hanged themselves, they will reincarnate with paraplegia after a simple fall that every child falls from the lap of the nurse, from the lap of their mother. Then, when the process is from hanging, their vertebra that has been displaced in the hanging comes weaker, and in a simple fall, the child is affected by paraplegia. We have seen out there children who reincarnate completely disturbed. Schizophrenia, for example, is said to be suicide after homicide. The guilt complex has taken such a great imbalance that the brain chemistry changes and the schizophrenia comes as a verifiable disease, because through the fluids expelled by the body, it is possible to detect the principles of schizophrenia. Schizophrenia cases means the homicidal person who has committed suicide because the guilt complex is so great, the remorse is so terrible, that it is reflected in the creature's own physical life for some time or a long time.
Things that really happen, nowadays, so much different kind of situation that people commit suicide, and the explanation Chico Xavier gave is really wonderful and food for thoughts. But now, Geraldinho, that we had this...
Você saberia me dizer o que é o Espiritismo?
I'm sorry that I left the YouTube open, closed now. But I pass over to Geraldinho, that as pointed by Nadia, by Sylvia, he stayed together with Chico Xavier for so many years, since 1881, 1981, and more than that, Geraldinho can say about him better than me. And later on, I will show the book, The Medium, Chico Xavier, The Medium of the Century, that we published, the first biography in English, we published here in the United Kingdom. Geraldinho, it's up to you now, my dear.
Okay, Elsa, let's talk a little bit about Chico Xavier's life. Of course, we all know him, but maybe someone doesn't. So Chico Xavier was born April the 2nd, 1910. He was from a poor family, including 16 brothers and sisters in the suburbs of Belo Horizonte. He was born in the city of Pedro Leopoldo, that still today is a very small town. he had a difficult childhood because the people there didn't understand what was going on with him, and he also struggled with his mediumship because his father would like to have him in a mental hospital. His friend was at that time the priest, the Catholic priest in Pedro Leopoldo, worked with him to give him 3 jobs in an early age so that he would contribute to the family income, and his father would not have him to a mental hospital. And that Chico Xavier used to talk and tell us that was considered a blessing to him. Since his very early childhood, Chico had visions of the spirits and used to talk with them. And although he was raised Catholic until the age of 17 years old, he always would pray with extreme devotion, seeing those visions of the higher spirits, even in the Catholic Church in Pedro Leopoldo.
Geraldinho, só um minutinho, a sua imagem continua congelada.
Continua?
Para mim, sim. Não sei se para a Silvia e para o público está congelada.
Sim.
Sometimes it comes back, sometimes it gets frozen again, but most of the time it's frozen.
Eu vou tentar aqui.
But we can hear, so it's also...
Não, it's okay, mas é só para...
It's just the camera.
A gente continua ouvindo você. Pode falar, Geraldo.
Pois não. Vocês querem que eu saia e entre de novo? Talvez melhore. Não?
Então, agora voltou, tá bom.
Voltou?
Yes.
Okay. I was talking about Chico's childhood. At the age of 5 years old, he lost his beloved mother, Maria de São João de Deus. And after that, he could see and talk to her. And this was a very special preparation for him. The spirit of his mother always promised him that she would give him a new mother and an angel to protect him. And so it happened. The young Mr. Cidália Batista agreed to marry the widower John Cândido, who was Chico Xavier's father, but asked him to bring all the 9 children from his first marriage. And then after this condition, he married her and also had with her another 6 children. So she was a very special mother to Chico Xavier, and the first one that believed him, all his visions and scenes and also talkings with the discarnate spirits. From the early age of 17 years old, Chico Xavier began to psychograph. His first message was psychographed on July the 8th, 1927. And a little while after that, Chico received, through his automatic writing, a book from his mother that is called Letters of a Dead Woman, dictated by the spirit of Maria de São João de Deus. Endowed with a lot of faith, she had taught her children from the early age to cultivate trust and faith in God. The content of this book brings messages of love and affections from those who have crossed the immense sea of death, eager to reveal themselves to the loved ones who they left behind and to whom they preceded the great journey of life. In her visits to another planet, she brings faraway memories that still sleep in our souls and indiscernible sentiments. It's very interesting because she talks about her visits to the planet Mars and also to the planet Saturn and also to a world in another planetary system, a planetary system of 3 suns, 3 stars, that only was discovered in 2004 by the Hubble telescope. And this book, as I told you, was psychographed in the late 1920s. One of the sayings of Chico Xavier's mother's mentor is that it is up to us to operate the great movement of restoration of the pure beliefs. And so this was the stamp of Chico Xavier's life. All the 75 years that he dedicated to the mediumship with Jesus and Spiritism, he tried to pass on his knowledge on the pure beliefs, and he tried to teach us about the consoler, which is Spiritism, bringing Jesus again to the heart of the people. 2 months later, that he got to know Spiritism on the 7th of May, 1927. He also received a visit of a very high spirit that he described to be a very illuminated woman. First, he thought it was our dear Mary, the Holy Mary, but then he was then explained that this spirit was from Isabel of Aragon, the Queen of Portugal and Algarves of the 13th century. And in the night of the 10th of July, 1927, she asked Chico to work with the poor, with the needed one, and offer them a little hope, a little of something, or the things that they need, so that he started his works on charity, on solidarity. And from 75 years, he performed his works every week from Pedro Leopoldo, and also after 1959 in Uberaba, every week, looking to know and to be close to the ones in need, the ones that were suffering, and offering them a little bit of hope and fraternity. In 1931, the only manuscript from these early days was found in his personal archives after his death, and he stated in that those archives would have been given to me, so I could take care of them, and so that in 2010 I got to publish this very first book that he made handmade, not only the message, but also the illustrations, the hardcover and everything. That is the first book of Chico Xavier, that we called in Portuguese O Primeiro Livro de Chico Xavier. But his first published book was, as we know, the Parnassus from Beyond, that was published in June 1932. That year, in 1932, Chico Xavier was 22 years of age, marked by the medium's adulthood. His first works, with publishing books. A little bit earlier, in 1931, he was introduced to the spirit of Emmanuel, and his first vision with Emmanuel was in the Centro Espírita Luiz Gonzaga, the Luiz Gonzaga Spiritist Center, that he and 9 other fellow companions founded in June 21st, 1927. And first, they just shared the vision of Emmanuel, and Emmanuel told him that he was very tired, and in another time he would talk to him. And some days later, at the river in Pedro Leopoldo, where Chico Xavier was relaxing, he saw... Yes?
Your image is still frozen.
Yeah.
If you can try quickly in and out and in again, perhaps.
Okay.
Because I don't know, it's not good to see, listen, you only see your eyes closed in an image.
Okay.
I think it's better because it's just a minute, né? Come and go and come, so it's better. Because it's nice when you can see people talking, his expression, and talking about the books that you should put the cover here, but we don't have the cover right now. I try to find it quickly here. But it's in Portuguese anyway, no? The book that he's talking about. But I put here in our chat the Bas Bookshop biography. So if people want to have a look, it's directed to our shop online in Amazon. Oh, Geraldinho is coming again. Okay.
About now.
Ai, que bom. It's nice to see you, your expression, your eyes. We're not frozen with your eyes like that and talking.
Okay, sorry about that. I don't know what happened. Yeah. Sorry.
We pray for the best. Continue, please.
Okay.
If people want to do some questions, you can answer the questions?
Yes, of course. Yeah, sure.
Because I know Nadia has questions as well.
Okay.
And Sylvia.
So
okay.
I was talking about the first meeting with Emmanuel, and at the second meeting, Emmanuel explained to him that he had to be very disciplined. He talked 3 times to Chico Xavier that 3 conditions to his work was discipline and discipline and discipline. And after that, he revealed that the task that they should pursue would be to bring about here on earth 30 books. And that's very, very funny today, because you can imagine nowadays we have 539 books of Chico Xavier mediumship. You can all see all of them in our website, which is vinhadeluz.com.br, and the number of them by the date of the published you can see that it's 539. But in the first meeting, the second meeting, Emmanuel just asked for 30 books. And in 1987, I got to interview Chico Xavier on July 17th. And Chico explained that as he achieved the goal so fast in 1947, then Emmanuel doubled the task to 60 books. And Chico achieved also the second task very early in 1958, the last book of Chico that was received in Pedro Leopoldo, and that was Evolution in 2 Words. And then he arrived in Uberaba, and Emmanuel told him, now the task is 100 books. And they worked for another 10 years to achieve 100 books. The book was published in 1969, The Revived Poets. And then Emmanuel told him that his life, his bodily life here on earth would be confiscated until the last days. So he would stay on earth until all the time receiving messages to give his word on the immortality. Let's see the question.
We have one question here that I think will be good.
Okay.
You can read, can you?
Yeah, I can. But you please do it.
I love Chico's cases. Could you tell us when Chico bumped into an alien, when in a car in the countryside? Thank you.
Yeah.
Nancy from Italy.
Okay, Nancy. That was in the early 70s. He was going to visit my wife that at that time was single, and she had a tumor in her lungs. And then Chico Xavier was traveling from the city of Franca to the city of Ribeirão Preto. And in the middle of the way, they saw that the car was, accompanied by a light. First, Chico Xavier did not see from where the light was coming. And then after that, that light illuminated the countryside, and he could see the spaceship that didn't touch the ground. But Chico was very afraid of that vision and asked for the assistance of the spirit of Emmanuel. And then Emmanuel appeared to him and told him that really, as a matter of fact, the vision was not a good one, and that being was not a good one, that Chico should pray. And so that Chico prayed with everyone else in the car, and the spaceship went away. And Chico after that told me that around 10% of the extraterrestrial civilizations are not good, or even are worse than the humankind. But the majority of them, 90%, are evolved not only in science and technology, but also in morals and ethics.
Geraldinho, I had the opportunity to be with Chico Xavier in 1997 with Dr. Marlene Nobre. She went there, invited me to go with her to Uberaba in order to give to Chico a trophy. I think it's a Folha Espírita trophy or Imprensa trophy. And she said that he won't be able to be there because he was in bed or ill for 5 years, not going to Spirit Center for Peace, for press. And I said, I want to go anyway with you. And we went there for our surprise. Later on, after 5 o'clock, Chico Xavier came to the Spirit Center of Prayer. And for me, it was the most important day of my life, I think, because I had the opportunity to be with him, to talk to him. And this meeting with him changed my entire life. So 2 months later, I was here in the UK, living here. So Chico was like that, no? Saying things that you are not expecting, or you have only the question in your mind, and he answer for you, even if you're not questioning. These cases happen a lot, no? What do you think?
Yes, we got to see many persons like that, from all backgrounds, all different religions and beliefs. It's interesting because the majority of the people that were there, also in Pedro Leopoldo and also in Belo Horizonte and in Uberaba, looking for Chico, they were not spiritists, the majority. They were seeking peace of mind, they were seeking relief from their pain and consolation after some messages of their beloved one. And after they received those messages, and after they saw how Chico Xavier friendship and fraternity were so close to them, and so humble and so simple, they changed their lives. And many of them became spiritists, and many of them founded institutions, charity institutions, and also spiritist centers all over Brazil, and some of them in other countries.
Sylvia can tell you. Your mic.
Yeah, well, I did because I opened a group with the name of Chico Xavier because was more for us to be reminded of the work that needed to be done. And because I cannot put in words the admiration that I have for him and for the work that he achieved. Because personally, I think Chico was, after Jesus, one of the most important spirits that ever came to earth. I think he was a genius, and in knowledge and wisdom, and in soul, in light. And I think we who were able to be close to him, at least for a while, and you who had a great many years with him, we are so privileged. We are really privileged. And I think to be able to share those things with other people, especially the stories that because this brings to us, we know him by the books, but it is to bring that angel of light to us, because I truly believe that he's an apostle of Jesus on earth. I really believe that he still is, and he was here for a while. So I think we just have to work and to be able to learn so much from him and put our hands to work and to make this into a better place, even though we cannot change the world, but we can make the world around us a little better. That's, what I feel. And I want to hear more stories from you.
That's very, very true, Sylvia, because Chico Xavier was not only about mediumship. He was not only about knowledge from the higher spirits. He was the one that lived the message of Jesus himself in his life. in his way of leading with all kind of difficulties, all kind of people from different backgrounds. He was the one that showed us patience, understanding, and tolerance, and forgiveness. Chico Xavier lived the message of Jesus Christ, and so that he was a truly apostle of Jesus Christ on earth. His love of Jesus was something so profound that when he was speaking about Jesus or about the Holy Mary, his tears were, all over his face, and we would all weep with him, and we would all be very emotional. So I think Chico Xavier brought Jesus to us again, as we were living 2,000 years ago.
Geraldinho, eu vou colocar uma questão aqui que a Nancy está fazendo.
Sorry.
Say again?
I was just going to make a comment.
Okay, make your comment so he can answer later.
Yeah, just because earlier today we were in our study group of the book, the Spirits book, and we were talking about Chico Xavier and his example as a humble person and hardworking person, because the text was talking about being hardworking and not complaining. And he was a model, as I could read here, Diego Chaparini is saying here is a model. And I was also saying that to the group and my own thoughts, and why he wasn't so famous, like Madre Teresa or Gandhi, because they were also examples of giving themselves to the others, no? And then they were saying but he's becoming famous because of his books, and who reads his books, they get so deep and so connected to him, and gets the example, and then gets to know him, and then know what you're saying just now, that he was the example. So he's becoming famous because now we are also trying to make him, making people aware of him, because he was this example of a good person, humble, pure love. I think he didn't have any prejudice to anyone, and he was only love. And I was interested in knowing that, because he was working many hours per day and every day non-stop. So my question was how was to live with him and together with him in this almost 24 hours of work, because I think he had 3-4 hours of sleep and continuous work. Not even that. So yeah, so he was an example for working as well, and we complain too much. So I think how was it to be with him 24 hours? How can you tell us how was it?
That's a difficult question, because even nowadays, I don't know how we did it. I think he was so humble, and he was so, in the process of being as human as we were, that we felt like we are in a family. And nowadays, I every night and every time I meditate and think about that time, I see that it was like we were we had anesthesia. I don't know the name in English, anesthesia.
You could say you
It's
got numb,
anesthetic.
or is
The
anesthetic?
book's anesthetic.
Yeah, because we were living in a special dimension, I would say. And after that, and after everything that he talked to us at that time, mainly when he talked something that were not in our world, we would feel a little strange. And after the time going by, we could see that he was predicting a lot of things that we had today. But at that time, we hadn't. So Chico Xavier was a truly prophet, because he would say things that at that time would not mean anything to us. It was, just a reflection or a meditation thing. But after times goes by, we could see that he was talking about the future. Chico Xavier was greater than we thought he was. That's the very truth. Much greater. And he's humble. His way of to be simple, and his humility touched us all.
I think, Geraldo, one point, because I don't know, at least I remember Chico since I was a child, but he was very well known in Brazil and in many other places. There is a very important book actually by a psychologist from Switzerland that he actually talks about, in talking about mental disorder. He quotes 3 of the books of Chico Xavier in the book, called Life Streams. And I feel personally that a lot of things that he was so, in a way, humble, because I think if he became too famous, he would not be able to do what he came to do, which was write the books. I remember when I saw him, he worked for about 5-6 hours non-stop, giving messages in French, in all other language. And there are people from many different countries there the day I was there. And I remember that he actually read the message in French to the parents who were there, because they really couldn't speak Portuguese. And I think if he had all this fame, in a way, would bother, because he came to do the work that is more important, that's more lasting, isn't it? Which is the books. Yes. Because I've read quite a few of his books, but I have no idea how many more I have to read. I needed to reincarnate about 500 times, because it's not only reading. Every time you read is a new book. Yeah. Just reading Boa Nova and Contos e Apólogos again, and it's a different book every time you read. It's so. He was. I think we have no idea, even in our greatest imagination, who Chico Xavier was and is. I personally think we don't know.
Yes,
I agree. Of the man.
I agree with you. I think his work was meant to be for the future of humanity. Our beloved friend Martins Peralva, who also was a writer, and he was the director of Know Spiritism Mineira. He used to tell us, in my youth, he would tell us, Chico Xavier's work is meant to be for the future. The future generations will study it profoundly and will understand it. And as you said, it's 539 books in all subjects. Yeah. It's impossible for us to read and to study everything. Yeah. And every time you go and read one of them again, it's a different time. It's a different discovery.
Yeah, I mean,
So you
evolution
can
into words. If any books for the future, that book is for the future. I've read about 5 times,
I
and I
love
still
it.
can't understand
I
half
love
of it. But you always learn a little bit.
a
So
little
that's
bit.
why it's important. Even though if you can't understand everything, read it again and again. But you always get something from it.
Mediumship mechanism also is one for the future.
Yes.
And
In a
evolution.
way, I feel this is almost like, we have the Gospels that Jesus left, then Kardec came with the books, and now the books of Chico Xavier, they, be like the Gospels, Kardec's book, and the Chico Xavier books, because it's for a future, for humanity in the future.
The things that are happening today, that we are using Zoom, using internet, so this media that he told you, asking you, is a passage that you can explain for us that is important.
It was very interesting because we were talking, I don't remember the year, but probably would be around 1980, something, 88, 89. And then he stopped and looked to the seal, and he stopped for a while, and then came to me and asked, Geraldinho, do you know what multimedia is? And I told him, I don't have a clue, Chico, but from the word, it is the reunion of all the media. But why are you telling me that? And he told me, because the spirits are here telling me that will come the time when Spiritism will be taught by multimedia. And we all will have, interaction from different countries, different cities at the same time participating in those meetings. That's what we're doing today, right? But in 1988, it was impossible.
Exactly, thank you. Geraldine, another thing that is very important is nowadays we are doing weekly 2 mediumship meetings here in the UK. And we make a research in the André Luiz books, and we found that the books was written in 70s, 60s, or even before that,
40s,
40s. And it's talking about the big screen that the benefactor or someone there will talk with the other ones in the other screens. So what we are doing today, our mediumship meeting in different parts of the world, and together working beautifully, doing the same job. For the spirits, there is no space or no time. They can do what they want
online
to do.
at the same time, yes.
Yeah.
That was in our home, Nosso Lar, in the teaching of a Veneranda spirit.
Yes, exactly. The wonder. There's a lot of comments here.
But I think he talks small as well, doesn't it? Because in the book, I'm quite sure if it's in Mundo Maior, that he talks about the accident that happened. There were spirits working there, and they were communicating, and they could see it on the screen, and they had something small holding in their hands, and they could show the image and the picture. It's like the mobile phones now that we have, and it goes into a screen, and they were back at the castle, and they could see it. So he was. Geraldo, just one thing.
Also in our home, Nosso Lar, André Luiz talks about that. Every inhabitant of Nosso Lar, of our home, has a personal device to communicate with each other.
Exactly.
Which is nowadays the cell phones.
Exactly.
that was written in 1943.
Yes. Geraldo, would you be able to say something about the Bíblia do Caminho for us? Would you be able to say something about that?
Oh, yes.
2 minutes.
There is a group of friends in the city of Uberaba that they're trying to put all the messages of Chico Xavier from the first edition in the Bíblia do Caminho, Testamento Xavieriano, which is a very good reference to everyone that can study. Nowadays, this is important because, you know, the struggle to have again the original writings by Chico Xavier. And recently, in April the 2nd, the Spiritist Union of Minas Gerais, União Espírita Mineira, and the Spiritist Federation of Brazil, FEB, they wrote an agreement so that FEB would make an effort to recuperate all the original first editions and publish it as they were published in the first times, in the 40s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. And I think this is important because many things that the spirits were, you know, writing at that time had a destination to the future, because many science is, you know, a movement that are always changing. And one thing that did not make sense in the 50s or 40s now makes perfectly sense. So we should try to see the first editions of Chico's book, and this is important.
Wow, so many comments here, Geraldinho. People are appreciating so much this everything about Chico. And is it possible to read all of them or to put all of them here, but we can put some. And I'd like to continue talking about Chico Xavier. Perhaps we can plan something for the future to have more lives regarding Chico Xavier. We talk later.
Okay.
And, yes. There's a lot of people say thank you to you, and a lot of good things here. But it's still there in the comments now of the Kardec Radio, Irish Spiritist Federation, Lithuanian Spiritism, Facebook, and YouTube, and also BAS, BAS Audiovisuals. So, Geraldinho, would you like to say thank you so much? And before the end, we will announce, put our announcements, and I pass over to Nadia, Silvia, to say their final greetings as well before the announcements, okay? For my part, thank you many times. Thank you very much, Geraldinho, for being with me.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure to be with you. And my message is that we should never stop studying Chico Xavier's work. No matter how difficult it is, from another language or another country perspective, try to study, try to seek the books in your language, because it's important for our life as a spirit, that we are all spirits, immortal spirits, and we should think about our immortality. And Chico Xavier teaches us about our immortality.
Nadia?
Yes, thank you very much. It was great having you here. And I was looking forward for today, for this meeting. I think I'm the only one here who didn't have any contact with him in person. But I think that because I'm here in Lithuania and I'm trying to translate the basics first, the Spirits book, for example. But every time that I read the books of Chico Xavier, especially the André Luiz collection, because I think because I'm a doctor, a medical doctor, so I got this connection with André Luiz for somehow, and very interesting. And I always think like, oh my God, I need to translate this to Lithuanian language. So my dream is to have all the books in Lithuanian language as well. So I think this is a contribution to the word to eternity, and he's living through his books, and I'm just here very thankful for being part of this group, the Spiritual Light, and for having you here. Thank you very much for having your time, and thank you to all of you who were here today, and for those who are coming and listening in the future, also thank you very much. So it's lovely to be here. It's an energy that I think we just get when we are here together, and it's passing through the internet. This energy. Thank you very much.
Silvia?
Well, don't know. But thank you so much, Geraldo. It was wonderful. I hope you come many, many times, because I think all of us, we had a feeling that we are together with Chico, because you knew him so well. And when we talk about him, when we listen to talks that you give, we listen to, when you mention lots of books that we haven't read for a while, or have not read, so we go for them and we study them. So it's always good, and it's almost like he's present, and I feel a great joy at this moment. And I think, thank you so much, and God bless you and the work you're doing, because it must be quite hard to continue the work of Chico, not because the work in itself is hard, but the needles that must come through your way. So may God protect you and keep you safe. Thank you so much for everything you do, and for your being here with us.
Thank you, Silvia. Very kind of you. Thank you so much.
So, my dear all, next week, the pioneers of Spiritist teachings, that will be Charles, talk to us as a guest, because he knows a lot regarding our pioneers. And also, after tomorrow, be with us, 7 p.m. London time. We will have a Zoom meeting. We invited everyone that speak English, because only in English. And we will have, can we make Spiritist topics more accessible to the general public? Be with us. You have the information, passcode, and number of the Zoom meeting. Every fortnight, Tuesday, we have time to talk, conversations on mediumship, that a lot of times the books from Chico Xavier are mentioned. We have the study of a medium's book, Saturday, 10:30, that we invite all of you, if you can participate. The link is there as well. And Know Solar, every fortnight, Tuesday, we have these studies. We had last night. Astral City, Know Solar, Chico Xavier. Also, every Wednesday, 4 p.m., coffee break with Kardec, study of the book Genesis by Dr. Munir Gariba. And at the end of our meeting, always we display this kindly work that Kardec Group is doing to help to charities in Brazil. Details here, just in case you want to donate to Grupo Sheila in Salvador, Grupo Mutirão in Curitiba, kardec.org.uk/high fives. Please be with us next week, and thank you for all of you. A big hug wherever you are, in Italy, in Malta, in Singapore, wherever you are now, in the United States. Many thanks from the bottom of our hearts. Geraldinho, a big kiss for you as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just one thing, Faye had asked if she could find your lectures in English as well, that thing. But Ricardo, thank you, Ricardo. Hello, how are you? He actually replied where she could. Can you put this there, Elsa?
Yes, I'm trying to find because it's okay. I
It's
put
right
it twice.
at the end.
I put it twice.
No, the Ricardo, the one of Ricardo's, because that's where the reference where she can go and find, and everybody who's listening to is almost at the end. Yeah. There's a playlist in TV Saber Espiritismo in the YouTube, so you may find Geraldo speaking in English there.
Yes, we had just a moment. We had a problem with YouTube that erased all the video there, and it was almost 1,000 videos, but we have them all. We are starting to publish all of them again, but you can find all of them in Facebook Meta at the Casa de Chico Xavier de Pedro Leopoldo, and also in the Facebook Meta Portal Saber Espiritismo. Tá bem? Okay.
I found some lectures in English in Kardec Radio.
In Kardec Radio, yes. In Kardec Radio,
our public don't speak Portuguese here.
Yeah.
So,
in Kardec Radio, we have the program To Know Spiritism. That is now in the number 130.
It's wonderful. So, if you want to know more, lecture by Geraldinho, kardecradio.org or kardecradio.com. Yeah? Okay. Wonderful information, says our dear Faye. And thank you, David from Malta, Ricardo, Thais, Nancy, Oli, Lea, oh my goodness, Beatriz, Pia from Finland, Faye from the UK, of course, Diego Champorini, I think it's from the UK as well. Thank you, everyone. And Agatha said, Agatha said good night.
No, Diego was in the UK, now he's in Portugal, maybe? Yeah. Thank you very much to all people from Brazil, Recanto da Prece,
yes,
Minas Gerais, Mato Grosso do Sul. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much to all of you.
Geraldinho will be with us more time.
And thank you, Geraldinho.
Bless you all.
Bye.
Thank you, Silvinha, Nadinha.
Good night.
Geraldinho. Bye-bye.
Bye.